Good evening and welcome to the Orville Review Show. All right, where we have our fantastic panel, guys, and we're about to embark on what is it? Uh, what is it? Season 1, Episode 10, which is Firestorm. That's right, Firestorm. And funny enough, Firestorm doesn't begin to describe this episode. Phobias might be a better name for this episode or something else. But the good news is I don't have any phobias with anybody that's on this panel, which is good. Quite honestly, I'm a bit attracted even to the fabulous Dave Mater.
Oh, well, hello, Jody, and good evening. I'm the scariest kind of Dave Mater, though, because I'm a hungry Dave Mater. So
Hungry Dave
watch
Mater.
out.
That is
Hungry
the
Dave
worst
Mater
of
and
the
harder
Maters.
than ever.
Harder than ever.
Harder
Glad
than
to be with
ever,
you on
Dave
this
Mater.
proud civic holiday, Jody.
It is a civic holiday here. Yes, it is. All right. And of course, there's a man that I know who's not scared of anything except maybe clowns. And that, of course, is Kevin Millard.
I'm not afraid of clowns either. Only
No?
scary clowns.
Only
And
scared
happy clowns.
And vampire
clowns
clowns.
with big feet. Just those clowns.
Just those clowns. Okay. Well, as long as we've pinpointed the problem here. And there's one person who is definitely not scared of spiders, as far as I know. And that, of course, is the legend himself, the spider wrangler extraordinaire. Of course, that's Adam Woodward.
How did you know?
I know.
We've never talked about this stuff. I was actually wrangling a spider out back today.
I know you were.
It's a big
I have that sense.
very, very big.
So as I said, this is Firestorm, which is episode 10 of the first season of Orville. Sorry, guys, I just lost my notes here. Basically, in this episode, we see the crew face their deepest fears and confront some unexpected challenges. From heart-pounding action to emotional character moments. Firestorm has it all, guys. Would you guys agree with that?
Does it have it all? I don't know.
It's got it all, Dave.
It hasn't got it all, but I don't know. I forgot about this episode, and I think I'm going to forget about it again. But it's okay. It's funny in a lot of parts. It's got some good jokes that really hit hard. Overall, not my fave.
Overall, yeah. All right, fair enough.
No, I really like this episode.
Me too.
It's funny and it's suspenseful through the whole thing until you get to the end. I'm not a big fan of the end, but I mean that's 2 minutes of the episode. It's good.
At least they didn't carry on the end too long, I guess. That's probably the best part about it. But
Lamar's physical acting in this is incredible when he's
Lamar
afraid
is
of the clowns.
yeah, Lamar is amazing. And then of course you have what's his name bugging him about it the whole time, and he's like vampire clowns and stuff like that. He just keeps dodging him out.
But that turns out to be the hologram Lamar, right?
It was the hologram Lamar.
Okay, and this brought up like a whole debate in my mind about like AI, and I'm like, this Lamar simulation is so accurate that he, would object, like the banter between the hologram Malloy and the hologram, and we kind of saw this in Star Trek Prodigy, which none of you guys watched with me, but
no,
it happened in Star Trek Prodigy where the holograms think that they're the people, and that they're so convincing that how can you tell the difference?
I'm having a display monitor issue right now. Sorry, guys. If you hear me fumbling around. Yeah, no, I unfortunately haven't invested time in Prodigy yet, but I know you guys are liking it a lot over on. Are you guys done your reviews now?
Yeah, we did 4-part reviews, doing 5 episodes in each installment. It was me and Jessica and Davin, and Murphy was there for one installment. He said he was going to come for all.
He was there for one.
Yes, and poor Murphy, I broke his wrists out there.
You broke his wrist because he wouldn't show up?
I didn't break him, but he had a biking accident, bicycle accident.
Not one, but 2. That's rough.
That is rough too, for sure.
Yes, I listened to the account this morning, the testimony.
3 minutes of it. It was good. It was a good story.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, geez. All right. Well, I'm still having monitor issues here, guys. So just give me 1 second.
No worries. You know, it's a
You know what? Talk
firestorm.
amongst yourselves, gentlemen.
It's a firestorm. Our equipment's not working properly. You
It
know,
is not
it's
working. I'm just gonna have
who's-
to turn off here for a second. Just 1 sec, guys. Why is this not working?
Adam, do you like this episode?
I freaking love this episode. Like, I love this episode. This is why I'm so surprised about you, Dave. I was watching it this morning actually, and it was great. I'm probably the best one so far.
I wouldn't say I hated it. It's just more that I don't know. I think it reminds me of some Voyager episodes I didn't care for either. Like that I just found boring. You know, I guess it's the isolation of the character in the episode a little bit too, where of the Alara character, how she kind of doesn't know what's happening here, and then it turns out she has this memory wipe, which is kind of interesting by the end of it. But I'm also like this is kind of like he should be looking even more mad about this, and this is kind of messed up what happened here. So I'm left a little unsettled by the what's the message of this episode. But anyway,
you're right as far as like the single remember that Next Gen episode where Dr. Crusher is in that warp bubble by herself and his ship is collapsing around.
Yeah, I like that episode, but yeah, right. There's similarities to that episode with this, and I think that there's the one in Voyager where 7 and 9 and the Doctor are like going through the ship, and everyone's in the stasis units, and only she's out there, right? And so there's kind of also that similarity in this kind of thing.
But this episode had something there they didn't. I mean, they had the whole playing on the fears, and I liked it. I just it felt good. It felt suspenseful, as Kevin said, and I enjoyed it all.
Okay, well, I'm not gonna tell you not to like it, and I
don't
know
if
I don't know if I don't like it.
Oh, jeez. All right, guys. I think I got my stuff all sorted out here.
All right. Well, Jody, we had a really interesting chat about this episode, and like really, I think I might be not getting it. So we're going to talk about Firestorm, and we're going to see how it's a suspenseful, amazing episode that.
So I missed it. Does everybody like it, but Dave?
Pretty much, yeah.
Oh, okay, good. Oh, this is going to be a fun one, boys. All right.
Well, let's see. Let's go down in the comments.
Davis made some good points.
Similar
totally off
reflected
base.
in a better episode of the 3rd season.
Yeah, but that's sorry, Norm. That's irrelevant because we're not there yet, and so we're.
Wow.
This is karma.
Adam's coming out with full force here. What's this karma thing about?
So when I get so what Norm's saying to me is that I better not rate it too high because when I get to 3rd season, I'll probably want to rate that one higher. Right?
Well, maybe he might be advising you. Think ahead here.
All right, Norm, I'm thinking ahead. I'm not going to rate it too high. I'll leave it some room.
Don't go to too close to the sun, as they say.
Yeah. Anyway,
Wings
all
will
right. Well, we start off with seeing the ship going through some sort of
Firestorm.
Well, I wouldn't call this fire. I would call this electricity.
Lightning storm.
Lightning,
Plasma
maybe,
storm.
Plasma storm.
But not fire. Fire is far from this, in my opinion. But what can you do? But anyway, oops, that was terrible. Oh, apparently, a lot of them. But basically, yeah, like we see them. They're having troubles. They're getting hit. They're taking damage. Some pretty cool CG in this one, actually. I kind of like that. Then we get to see the engineer. I can never remember his name, but it doesn't matter because he's going to be gone soon. But anyway,
don't disrespect the chief.
I mean, no, he'll be around for a long time. But anyway,
Chief Newton.
Newton, that's it. Newton, you're right.
I really like this guy.
I don't mind him. But basically, he's telling them that they've lost some stuff, and things are breaking up, and we got to get out of this thing, and blah blah blah. And then as that happens, some big conduit stuff falls down on some dude. He's clearly not having
Payne.
Oh yes, that's right. His name is Payne because they made
Harrison Payne. He was a great guy.
Yeah, he was a good guy. They
knew him since 8th grade.
Well, only one of them has known him since.
No. He was a neat guy.
Oh,
He
that's
was a
right. He was a
neat guy.
neat guy. That's right. Yeah.
You're so-
He was kind of a neat guy.
His face doesn't look too neat right now. I can tell you that. But anyway, they basically call up to the bridge and say, we can't move this big, huge, thing that's on top of them. And then they're like, can Alara come down? So Alara's like, okay. And she runs down. And then at that point, she eventually gets there. And when she gets there, she gets freaked out by fire. So I guess here's the firestorm, guys. Clearly not as big as the
This is the fire part.
lightning storm that we just saw earlier, but whatever.
It's,
I like most of this episode. The only thing I don't like is the ending, and I also don't like the fact that it's called Firestorm. But anyway, I'll get over that. But basically, she pauses. She doesn't really pull it off of him. She just kind of gets in her own little trance there for a second, and then all of a sudden she's back to reality. She moves the thing that's on top of him, but he's already succumbed from his injuries. And then we basically get the next scene is they're out of the thing, and here we are. And now they're having the memorial service for Mr. Payne. Which turns out I guess the chief makes a joke about how, or was it the chief or
Yes.
yeah, it was the chief. He's like, yeah, he would think this is really funny. He blah blah blah.
he died in pain.
He died in
You-
pain, and he would think that that's really funny that I said that at his funeral.
So
And
you can't be mad at me.
the room, he clearly is not reading the room because the room was not interested at all. But anyway, they're all just like stone faced.
At my funeral, I would like everyone to get up and tell one off-color joke.
Okay.
Something that will just irritate everyone.
I don't think I'm gonna outlive you, but if I do happen to outlive you, I'll do two.
I might come up with a few. Just off
Sounds
the
good.
cuff,
Sounds good.
All right. I got to start working on that now, though. I want to make sure it's epic. But anyway, hopefully that won't be something we need to get into for a while. But anyway, yeah. So everybody's all stone faced. Alara is basically, she's clearly upset with the situation and how she handled it. And then she ends up going to their version of the holodeck, which I can never remember what they call it.
Simulator.
Recreational simulator or something like that they call it. Is it just
Simulator.
Okay, we'll just call it simulator. So she goes to the simulator and she brings back up her boxing program, which apparently she does quite a lot. At least they could reuse the costume, I guess. But anyway, she beats the living snot out of this thing to the point where she just explodes it. It was weird to see that in the future they use holograms of things, and when they burst, they still have like the crappy stuff from the 20th century that's in them.
It's canon. It's canon.
It's canon. Okay, fair enough. But anyway, we see Kelly and Claire both come in, and they're clearly worried about what's going on with her. They're investigating how she's acting and how she's feeling, and she basically blames his death on her. She's like, well, it's I could have helped him, but I froze up. Blah blah blah.
It is my fault. Like
she's taking full responsibility. She's owning it.
And actually, I mean, at the same time, the doctor goes ahead and says to her, we did the autopsy. The first being,
there was a good chance he was already dead at this point. Yeah, or he would have died anyway.
This is also the sort of plot of an original series episode, the one with the blood monster or whatever, the cloud, and Kirk didn't fire and he blamed himself, and then he blamed the ensign that didn't fire in time, but it all turned out that there was nothing he could do anyway.
Yeah,
right. Yeah. He was absolved.
I think this one was better than that episode, but
yeah.
But Alara clearly is going through some stuff, and she's like, I'm not really interested in your guys' opinion, just leave. And she tries to go back to her simulation, and at that point,
this is the best.
This is great. They just walk in, and
this was awesome.
Yeah,
I was totally down. Like, are they being Aaron Burr and Alexander Hamilton?
Yeah, could be. Yeah, but the best thing about it was the line they said as they're leaving, because he's like, "Well, I guess 3 o'clock appointments don't mean
Their
anything."
reservations mean nothing.
Yeah, reservations mean
Don't
nothing.
mean it. Because
And
she kicks them out after this, and then she goes back to using the simulator. But like she knows that they're waiting to use it.
Yeah, she doesn't care.
Yeah.
'Cause it's all pity right now, right? So, well, maybe not pity, but self-loathing, I guess.
You know what's kind of fun though is going back to that. Can you bring them back up again? Is that like what conversations happen to get to this?
To get to the point where they're doing this, yeah.
Why do they have to bring their own pistols? Like not even just the holographic pistols, right? Like they had to. They're coming with those already, like loaded up.
Loaded with what? No, real bullets?
Yeah.
Or
Maybe
those.
like are they doing this?
At this point, doesn't matter. Doesn't really
No,
matter.
it doesn't
They're
matter.
clearly gonna have fun no matter what.
But you know what? It would be like, when we're in the golf course and something we talk about would get us here.
Yes.
Are they-
Yeah.
is
Well,
this twinning?
that's kind of how
What-
this channel even started at one point.
Yeah.
I think it was a drunken night at Dave's house. But
As many things are. You know,
yes,
do.
well, this is true. A lot of things happened at Dave's house. But anyway, so that they kick him out, and then as they're leaving, Bortus walks in. I love this too, and he's just like, he
Am I
just kinda
early?
looks,
Am I early?
am I early? Yeah. Just the look on him, like even the wig doesn't fit him right. Like it's just great. I love it. So anyway, now Mercer's going through. He's writing the letter to the parents, of the tragedy that's happened, and basically Gordon's just like, you are absolutely terrible at this. Like, just,
Harrison
why are you-
Payne. You're saying he was a neat guy. You can't say that.
he was a neat guy.
Like
Yeah.
your son, he died in the line of duty. He was a really neat guy.
Yeah, he's
But I
really-
love that Mercer is spending his time. He's like, I don't want it to sound generic. I want it, but
Yeah.
he didn't know the guy at all.
Yeah, he had no idea who he was, really. Yeah.
But I also like that he admitted he didn't really know him very well.
But
And,
he thought he was a neat guy. He was neat.
Yeah.
yeah.
I guess I didn't get the thing, but then we see as Gordon's leaving and Alara says that she wants to talk to Mercer. He goes, okay, so I'm gonna go tell Kelly to do that then. He goes, yeah, just tell her to do like an outline and I'll fill in some stuff. Which I thought was kind of funny.
Yeah. Oh, he was a neat guy at the end.
Close that the neat guy later on. But anyway, Alara comes in and basically says, you need to take me off of the roster here. I shouldn't be on active duty. Blah blah blah. And he's just like, yeah, no, like these things happen and you kind of got to go through them. And he's totally right. Like it's which is funny considering Mercer's usually kind of dumb in a lot of scenarios, but he's spot on here. He's like, I'm not going to take that. Like that's something that you got to, you got to clue into and figure it out, kind of thing.
But didn't this sort of like speak to you guys about like, she was promoted at 20 years old or 21 years old or whatever she is, and there's something to said for life experience and going through stuff, on the way up.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this speaks to the fact that she's way too young, or anybody. They always talk about Kirk being promoted to captain, youngest captain ever, but was he ready?
Oh, he was ready.
Yeah.
Depends on which the Calvin timeline, maybe not. But
maybe less so. The other Kirk, I think so. Like I think Prime Kirk for sure.
Prime Kirk probably.
Now we have this younger version on Strange New Worlds that we're still. So that's starting to inform my opinion a bit too. But
yeah,
that's ongoing.
But basically, Mercer's trying to hear her out, and she's just like, I can't do this. Like I failed, and this is all my fault. He died because of me. And she basically just goes a little nutty for a bit.
He doesn't accept her resignation.
Yeah, doesn't accept the resignation. Basically says, nope, you got to kind of work through it. Whatever. And we don't realize it, but this is kind of the point where she starts what ends up happening later on, or at least the result of it anyway. But basically, she wants to treat herself somehow or another. So anyway, she ends up calling her parents, and of course, we get some alumni here. Of course, the EMS is apparently Alara's father. Who knew? But
EMH.
EMH, sorry, EMH. Yeah. but I liked them in this. You know, it was a quick cameo.
Yeah, Molly Hagan here. She played the very first Vorta ever
Yep.
in Star Trek.
Did she? I didn't know that.
In the Jem'Hadar episode.
Really, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, she. But you know, I knew they were both alumni. I just didn't know exactly where she started.
And I really like the angle here with the Salayans that they introduced here. That even though they have like this incredible strength on most worlds because their gravity is so intense, that they're actually a planet of intellectuals, and they look down on serving in the military, sort of being grunt work. That's
Yeah, I was going to mention that. Yeah,
left to the hillbillies of the galaxy, the humans, which I thought was, you know, it's an interesting angle that they've introduced in this universe, and how the Union gets on.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, didn't they also basically tell their daughter that she's like intellectually deficient?
Yeah,
Right.
they called her stupid. Basically.
yeah, they basically called her stupid. Yeah,
and there will be a place for you somewhere in society. Isn't that the best, nicest thing? You know,
I'm sure there's sewers that need to be cleaned or something.
right.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's so few of their race go into the military because they think it's beneath them.
Yeah, exactly. But hey, I didn't mind this scene. I thought I don't think it was really that needed, but it was always great to see alumni, and that's one thing that Seth likes to do is bring in as many alumni as possible.
I think it was needed actually. Because
so.
Look, remember, like the captain said to her, you know, talk to somebody, talk to the doctor, talk to a therapist, talk to somebody, talk to your parents. So she went home to her parents essentially, you know, through Zoom, but like she got nothing from them.
No, they literally didn't help her in any way.
They told her the story of when the fire and when she was a baby. And
well, that's the only thing that pieced things together. And then she's like, "Oh yeah, I guess I'm scared of the fire."
But as far as comfort, you know, that you'd hope
there was no comfort at all.
They were a little lacking in that department. Yes,
there was no empathy.
Instead of comfort, they said you're stupid.
Yeah, they basically said you're stupid.
Come home and be an intellectual. Oh wait.
So apparently, so and now we have like this. The next thing that happens is with the clown, right? And so this is where her memory wipe would have been up until that point.
Yes.
And so now this is like now in retrospect, because I forgot this episode, like having watched this episode before, I was like, oh,
I totally forgot that this was actually a simulation.
Here on this podcast right now, I'm reliving this. I'm going, oh, so this is like where her memory wipe and her moment.
So this is where the simulation started, but we don't know that yet. Right. But spoilers. But anyway, so she ends up
these
this clown.
Sorry, Jody. I love these kind of Kubrick shots where you get the hallway with the end.
Very, very Kubrick. Yeah. Mind you, it's been done a million times, but
but it still looks great.
But very cool. I also like him running the way whoever played the clown. I just love the running because he runs with such intensity and then he just stops and then he runs right past her and it was crazy. And she's like, "Yeah, I just saw a clown." And he's like, "Whoa, a clown?" he gets really upset very quickly. He goes, "What kind of clown?"
And these are all holograms.
These are all holograms, technically, yeah. But anyway, we have Bortus just kind of looking like, what's the issue here? So they go through the security footage, and sure enough, they see the clown. So
This is what I like. This is what I like about this episode, that you don't really, if you don't know it's a simulation, obviously the first time you watch it, you don't know what's going on. Because in every other, like you expect, oh no, there won't be any evidence of this clown. But there's evidence fucking everywhere, and they still don't know what's going on.
Crusher episode where she would see like all the dead people in the morgue, and then all of a sudden they were all upright and stuff like that, and like nobody could figure out what she was saying. Yeah, so. But yeah, no, with this, and actually, it's kind of funny that you mentioned that because I've seen this episode before, at least a couple times, and I totally forgot this was a simulation. So I'm like, fuck, I can't remember what this is. Are they like, do they have some sort of weird like fungus or something? Like, I can't remember what this episode's about.
Yeah, I didn't remember this episode either, guys. Like, it was because I watched
me either. Yeah. And I know I'd seen it before. I'm pretty sure I'd seen it before.
Yeah, I've definitely seen it before because I remember the clown.
Because I remember some of it, but not all of it. Isn't that's almost like a Mandela effect, almost, isn't it?
Maybe, yeah. Maybe you're in a simulation, Dave.
As soon as I started watching it, I remembered the end because I remember not liking it. Like the end of it.
Right. So we're all kind of we agree that the ending is not the best.
I didn't agree to that.
Okay.
I think the ending could have been better. I don't think it's terrible, but it's not a great ending by any stretch.
Well, you said that was what your main complaint coming in.
It is one of my main complaints, though. Yes, is the ending is bad, but we'll get to that when we get to that.
Okay.
But anyway, so they're looking through it, and I just love Lamar's face, like through all of the scenes with the clowns talking, because he's like, oh yeah, he's so grossed out by this clown. And so anyway, they decide they're going to search all the decks and everything, and they're going to see if they can find this damn clown. So they split up into groups. We get two red shirts here, which I don't think we ever see again.
I must have got him.
Yeah, the guy on the right specifically looks like he belongs in some sort of 2000s.
Those jackets are not tailored to to those. You can tell.
No, those are the standby jackets.
Yeah, it's not like if you compare it to how Bortus and Alara's uniforms fit them.
Yeah, those guys were wearing jumpsuits until like a couple minutes ago when they're like, okay, you're going with the higher ups.
Take that much for a couple safety pins and hem them in a bit.
Yeah, they could have did that, especially the one on the left. The one on the left, like, definitely isn't fitting him at all. Like, it's the one on the right's not too bad, other than the fact that his sleeves are way too long. But anyway, so Bortus and Alara end up in the cargo bay at the beginning. So they're going through the cargo bay. They can't turn the lights on, and this is where I started kind of cluing in. Oh wait, this is the simulation. Yeah, okay, because like this wouldn't make any sense that the lights won't turn on.
Here's what bugged me about this whole. What I noticed about this episode was all of these containers in the this room. What?
I'm distracting you.
Yes, I can tell you, they're all just like lying around. They could fall over anytime. They're going through that firestorm. There should be a huge mess in there.
True. Yeah. They have the same problem that they have. Like, imagine Worf in this room. Worf would be hit.
Worf would have like broken backs everywhere.
Yeah,
that's right.
Well, if Alara's a good detective, and she should have been able to figure out she was in a simulation.
You would think that, yeah.
But
who said she's a good detective?
Well, she's in security.
Good ugly clown, though, eh? Like,
security. Police officers aren't detectives, so
some are.
Some are, yeah.
You know who isn't? Odo.
Odo is not.
He's the best damn law enforcement man in the history of the quadrant or whatever.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he always knows who shot someone because he's always standing next to the victim.
Yeah. So anyway, we get a nice close up of the menacing clown, which I have to admit is quite menacing. And he goes to basically grab her, and then the two of them have like this kind of almost like a tussle for a second, and then he ends up like on top of this thing. Which clearly, if Worf was underneath him, he would have been hit by him, because the height, and obviously the bay. But anyway, we have some more tussles, which are very hard to capture, by the way. But this clown's fantastic. I don't know who played the clown. Maybe we'll get that in fun facts. But it was he's awesome. And anyway, so
Seth Austin.
What's that?
Seth Austin played the clown.
Seth Austin?
Yeah, Seth Austin. Also known as Seth Allen Austin.
I have no idea who that is. But anyway, I guess we'll find out. But anyway, so she drops her phaser and he goes to go for it. She goes for it as well. And then she ducks for cover. And then all of a sudden, things are missing. There's fire shots going off. And she ends up tossing him. Does she end up shooting him here? I don't remember if she does.
Yes.
She does.
She vaporizes him.
Oh, yes, that's right. Look at that. I even got a screenshot of it. She ends up vaporizing him, but she's really kind of stunned because it was on stun when she had it, but I guess he flipped it over to kill, which, is a pretty easy thing from what we've learned from Star Trek. But anyway, so they end up meeting back in the conference room area here. And, Lamar is still going off about this clown because he really doesn't like clowns.
Vampire clown. That was a good gag.
So anyway, they end up dispersing. Kelly and I can't remember. Oh yeah, Kelly and Alara both walk back, and Kelly's decided she's going to go have a shower. So she goes to go into her quarters, and she basically falls down into this never ending of everything. And of course, everybody here, I'm sure, got a flashback of the first time we saw Q. With
this part wasn't so scary for me. I don't know why.
No, there's nothing scary about this in my opinion, but
it should feel scary, but I didn't feel scary.
Was anybody scared?
No, it left me wondering, why does everybody always manage to catch the ridge of the doorway? That's
Especially
pretty
when
difficult.
they're facing the other way. Yeah. When you're walking into a room, you're not walking where your hands would be able to
This is
grab
all.
onto that.
This is after you've already walked the other, like facing the other way and fallen down,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
you have to turn and grab.
It's amazing how people can turn in the middle of of a free
Falling.
fall. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Alara ends up pulling her back up. Kelly is obviously really disturbed about this issue thing as well, and the two of them are just like, whoa. So then they end up going and reporting that back to. They end up actually going to see Claire, and he's just like, what's going on here? Are we manifesting these things? What's going on? And I like how Claire's character goes through this entire episode, because she goes from like, the kind of, logical person to absolutely insane at one point, which we find out later is a phobia of somebody's. But basically she explains to them, like, she basically says she doesn't really know what's going on, but could it be related to the storm that they went through, blah blah blah.
This is the part where Bortus comes in and he says there was an alligator in the cargo bay or whatever.
Yeah, there was an alligator in the cargo bay. I killed it with a chair.
I killed it with a chair. I crushed it. It is crushed.
Yeah,
that was my favorite joke of the whole episode.
At any rate, it is crushed.
It's crushed. Yeah, it was hilarious.
The way he delivers lines is fantastic. I just love him.
Yeah.
So anyway, we go back to Alara and Claire in the room. She says, "Oh, we're gonna run some tests." So she goes, lay down. And as she's getting the test prepped, all of a sudden these shackles, restraints come into effect, which I thought were okay. But anyway, she's like, you really don't have to restrain me. And she's like, oh, well, we're doing a brain scan. We want to make sure you don't move around, which to me would mean you would restrain the head. But, what do I know about medical science? But anyway, so as Claire is setting up her stuff, Alara is getting obviously concerned. And then Claire just goes ape shit crazy. Like, she just goes absolutely nuts. And she does a great job portraying that.
She really does. This scene is scary.
Yeah, and she's like looming over her and like taunting her and stuff. Oh, it's so
but you really see how nuts she's gone is when she goes out of the room for a moment, comes back, and Nurse Park comes in.
Yeah. And she's like, "Can you take me out of these restraints?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure, no problem." And he's like, "I can't turn them off. I don't know why. It looks like they're locked out, and I'm dead."
Shot in the back.
Shot in the back.
I had forgotten that this was fake, and I was like, "Oh, did he die in this episode?" I couldn't remember.
We're just getting to know him.
Yeah, so she goes and gets all these instruments, which clearly are not for doing a brain scan. And she starts explaining the procedure where she's going to literally cut her open all the way up to her skull. And Alara clearly is concerned about this. And she starts,
but she puts iodine on. So she get an infection?
Look, Dave, she's still a professional.
Hey, not only that, but I like the fact that they still show the fact that they have to sterilize something, which is something that Star Trek never did. They never sterilized
I don't think they still do it like this in this century. Do they?
I don't know. Well, who knows? But anyway, I just like the fact that they showed that. But anyway, so she's like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna cut you from about here all the way up to your spine." Blah 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 blah. And she's like, "Yep, time to get ready." And at this point, Alara breaks out of her one restraint and starts choking her. And then she throws her around, and then they lock her up. And I love how she portrays herself when she's locked up. Like, she's so sinister. It's so great. Again, as I said, I think Penny Johnson's probably one of the best actors in the show. She was great on DS9 as well. And of course, the various.
I don't think she was great on DS9.
I think she was okay.
I think she was great in 24 season 1.
She was better in 24. Absolutely.
She can be good in both,
I think she's better in this than she was in DS9 for sure.
But you think about last week's episode and now this week's. I mean, she's had some pretty good roles.
She went from like sex crazed, jelly lover to crazy bitch doctor. It's amazing. But anyway, so they're like,
give me my pizza.
yeah, what's going on? And yeah,
Nobody's getting her a
yeah,
pizza.
yeah. She's like, oh, I can have some pizza. And he's like, no one's getting pizza. I just
She
want
was
that
like,
one.
"What kind of pizza?"
What kind of pizza? Yeah. But I love how she like she's even taunting them in there and like the sinister stuff that she's doing. I just love it. It's so
It's
good.
great acting from Penny Johnson, but again, this is like a hologram, so this is all about a lot.
That doesn't make it any less enjoyable.
And Alara is a character that ultimately left the show, so I guess also on this rewatch, I'm like, well, what they put so much character.
Well, she doesn't
development.
leave the show for this reason, but
Not yet, but it's coming up. It's
so. But anyway, so yeah, so Claire is just taunting them all. So they got her locked up in the brig. And then they go back to the meeting room again and they start talking about it. And then all of a sudden this spider starts walking across the thing and everybody's just kind of looking at it.
one spider's not scary, but
I like how
spiders,
Bortus is like, he's just looking at it like, oh, spider. Yeah, okay.
he
And everybody
crushes
else is like,
alligators. He doesn't care about a
whoa.
spider.
Yeah. He goes, just get me a chair. And then all of a sudden, like all these spiders start showing up and crawling all over the walls and stuff. I thought they did a really good job of this, actually. Usually it's like really fake to look at, but I thought it looked pretty good. But anyway, so they do that. The one thing that bothered me, though, is if you notice, there's no reflections of the spiders.
That they're bad at CGI spiders.
Yeah, like there's no reflections. And I'm wondering if they did that on purpose. Like if you see right around here, there is one on the table, but like these ones here, for instance, should all be there. And they're not there. So I'm wondering if they did that kind of as a purpose to kind of show you that this is a simulation. Or it was just they didn't have the budget to do it. I don't know. Who knows? But anyway. And of course, he gets a spider on his face.
Get it off me! Get it off me!
And he literally runs out of the room. He goes full panic, runs out of the room, and as he's running out of the room, there's no spider on him. So anyway, everybody else is running. I don't know why Isaac would run. That doesn't make much sense. But everybody else,
he's scared of them.
How is Isaac scared of spiders? Like, come on. And then they look back at the room. It's all gone after he grabs the phaser out of the locker. He goes back in to start shooting some, and they're all gone. And everybody's like, okay, this is interesting. So anyway, she decides to go out with Gordon now. And if you notice, it's all the people that she's escorting are the people that have the phobias that we find out later on. But anyway, so they're walking down the corridor. I can't remember the discussion at this point. It was just chatter from what I remember, unless anybody else can remember it.
Well, he was like, it wasn't your fault that
oh yes, that's right,
Payne died, and it's all sort of we're in this together, and they get chased by this monster.
They open up the door, and as they open up the door to the elevator, whoa, there he is. He's a big boy.
It's a scary
and
monster.
I like how they first shoot at it, and then they're like, yeah, no, this isn't working, and they literally run. They're like, okay, time to run.
Yeah.
No standing our ground when it comes to this.
But she's so strong, you think she'd try to fight it first, maybe.
But well, she didn't.
Yeah.
So anyway, they get chased after.
I guess if a phaser's not working on it, then
yeah.
What do they call them? They don't call them phasers, right? They call them something else. But
I have no idea. I don't remember. But anyway, we end up seeing this spider. He basically gets Gordon and chomps him down. There's a foot in there, but it's hard to see with the blur. But anyway, and she's now gone back to look. He's gone now. Everything's gone. There's no evidence of him being taken. And she's like, I really am going nuts here. So anyway, she goes back to the bridge and it's completely deserted and they're back in the storm. And she's like, are the deflectors even up? She's like calling down to people. She can't figure out if the deflectors is up. Basically she's like, okay, well, I guess I better go down to engineering. So she makes her way down to engineering. She first goes through a whole bunch of other rooms to show us all the sets when they're not turned on, like the obviously med bay there. And of course, we're now in the engineering room. And as she goes into the engineering room, she ends up coming across Isaac. And Isaac's like, yeah, okay, well, let's work on this problem, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I can power on this thing with this comm device, blah, blah, blah. So he kind of jerry rigs it, gets the power into the unit. And they're checking to see if the deflectors are up. And at this point, she says something, and he says something that he wouldn't know, and I can't remember what it was. I should have wrote it down.
Oh, it was about well, I like she watched Gordon Malloy die, and he was like, well, that's too bad you couldn't get away from the monster or something.
Oh yes, that's right. And she goes, how do you know about the monster?
I didn't tell you how he died, so you wouldn't have that knowledge.
Yeah, you wouldn't have that knowledge. So this is where she's starting to clue in that reality isn't right here, or something's going on. But doesn't stop her anyway.
But why did the program was sloppy with that? The program
was sloppy. Well, and as far as I can tell, Isaac was the one who made the program, so kind of doesn't make sense that it would be the sloppy. But anyway, maybe that was his way of trying to get her out of the reality. I don't know, or out of the fantasy, I guess.
Perhaps.
Yeah. There's a lot of undertone things here, but anyway, the two of them end up fighting. She whacks him around, throws him around. She gets thrown around. There's a big whole fight scene here. And then eventually she gets him down and she runs, like she takes off, and now she's going down a corridor. She goes and gets the assault weapons, which this is not the first time we've seen these assault weapons, but we don't see them very often. We saw them in the first episode, actually.
Yeah, this one's called the PM-488 Titan, a plasma shotgun.
Shotgun. That sounds like fun. But anyway, so she ends up looking to the corridor. Sure enough, there's Isaac again. And the two of them are talking. He's like, you won't shoot me, blah, 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 blah. And then his eyes start turning really red, which, funny enough, we find out later that that's actually something that does happen with those people. But we'll find that out in the third season, I guess. Second season? I don't know. But anyway, so the two of them have kind of this standoff. She goes to shoot at him, blah, blah, blah. And then we end up getting a zoom out of the scene, and we can see that the walls are being created around her and stuff like that. And she's actually in the holodeck. Or their version of the holodeck, the simulator, we'll call it. And they're actually observing this. Now, I have a problem with this.
Wait, why does this exist? Yeah.
Why is there an observation deck on the holodeck?
Because it's the sex room.
It's the sex room. like this is the future sex room, guys. Like, they just.
Well, hold on. This is like the shuttle deck, right? So
no, this is the simulator.
Oh, yeah.
And this is the observation deck because they're watching her in the simulator.
Maybe
because if you look back, you can see the lines on the floor, right?
Right.
So
maybe they have to do tests in here sometimes, like evaluations.
Maybe it's like a multi-use room, maybe.
Right. So
normally they have like dividers up or something.
No, I feel like the future is freaky, man. It's just because it's a sex room.
This is where people come to like with a bag of popcorn and they watch those guys.
Other people get on
a duel or whatever. Would you still use the simulator if you knew anybody could come and watch what you're doing in there? No, right?
Probably.
maybe that's how they keep demand low.
Maybe that's why they have a hard time keeping the schedules.
Right.
But anyway.
They got tired of cleaning it, so they made it non-private.
Yeah, that'll get them.
If you want to do some freaky stuff in there, that people could sit there, they could know about it all day long.
Yeah, exactly. It's the dirty room. But anyway, maybe they got like sprayers or something, and it sprays down after everybody leaves. I don't know. But
disinfectants.
Yeah, there might be some.
That's not the part I'm worried about. I'm more worried about the observation effect, and who knows who's up to what.
But anyway, we get
2 rooms to clean.
Yeah, and this is where we get informed that Alara is actually running a simulation, and she's inside the simulation, and her heart rate's insane. And I guess this was conjured up by her to try to face her fears and get rid of the fears that she has, which I guess in a way worked, but.
No, this was dumb. Her whole like,
really
what was she trying to prove to herself here? Like, it was just
she's trying to prove that she could do the job, I guess, and not freak out all the time and stuff like that. But anyway, she's literally living in this world. She's going down this what seems to be an endless hallway, and then at this point, this is where the cargo bay doors open, which doesn't make any sense. But anyway, there's cargo bay doors here. So I guess in the simulation, she walked to the holodeck, or sorry, the shuttle bay, because they open. And at this point, we see Evil Isaac again. He comes up and grabs her. She throws him around a bit, and she gets into the shuttle. So she's like trying to take off in the shuttle. And then Isaac puts this big, huge, combustible box thing, which has a clear danger sign on it. So that's always handy. and I guess it means explosion. So and he ends up putting it in front of the shuttle to block her, and he basically shoots it off, and it creates this big, I guess, firestorm. There you go. Maybe that's the reason why. Who knows?
Maybe,
This still doesn't look like a firestorm to me, but anyway, this wall of fire, I guess we'll say.
She has to fly through it,
and she has to fly through it, and she has reservations about it, but she ends up doing it. She gets the gall to do it, and she flies through, and then that's when we start seeing the ship start to blow up. And then at this point, she kind of pulls around so she can watch the ship blow up, and then it gets hit by electricity again. Clearly not a firestorm. And at this point, then I guess maybe that's a firestorm. I don't know. But anyway, she sees the ship completely get destroyed, and then all of a sudden, she's out of the simulator. So the simulation's completed.
Yeah, like I guess my question here is like, do you like that they gave us the reveal when they did about that this was a simulation, or they could have waited till this moment to reveal it to us, right? Too.
I think it would have made more sense for them to reveal it at this point, but I guess for us to understand how significant it was for her to fly through the fire, we would have to know that she's in a simulation.
Well, yeah, because we know that, right? But they could have chosen to keep that information to us until this point, and therefore, so you have basically that entire final scene with her fighting Isaac and getting into the shuttle. That we just know that's fake.
We know that's fake at this point. Yeah. Which
I think they do the real. I think they do the reveal before the ship blows up, because there's no fucking way that they're going to blow up that ship in the 10th episode.
Yeah,
so then you know something's up. So they tell you something's up before that.
They're not getting the Orville A after this. Like
I knew something was up when the clown showed up. You know, like
we all knew that, but anyway,
right? It all started to go off the rails.
Yeah. So anyway, and she's clearly like beat up. Like the simulator has kicked her ass.
Doesn't look like a simulator when she looks like this, right? Like.
Well, yeah, but the simulator can cause her real damage.
She probably programmed to have no safeties. Yeah, she used her her access code. Like,
oh yes, we glossed over that.
Directive 38.
Yeah,
Directive 38, and then the first thing he says is
no bare feet in engineering.
No bare feet in engineering.
He confuses it with another directive,
and she's like, "No, this is the directive where the security chief gets to override everybody,
including the captain."
Including the captain, yeah.
Is this a good policy? Do we think this would be a good policy in Starfleet?
I think there are
no bare feet.
No bare feet in engineering. I think makes perfect sense. The amount of plasma that they have going on.
What about slippers?
I think you know what? Any open toe shoe I think is probably a bad idea in engineering.
Well, but coming back to that rule though, Dave. I mean, the captain said it. Like he goes, when the captain is something's wrong with the captain or he's really drunk, which was funny, but then he said that they better be darn right or they're in a lot of trouble.
Right.
Yeah.
I get but shouldn't almost anyone have that sort of authority in a sense? But I guess specifically the security chief has this sort of authority, and then the medical officer has a different kind of authority. Of course.
Well, I can understand why in the event of let's take Naked Now as a good example. You have your entire ship incapacitated. So, if the person who's in charge of security is still sane, they probably should be running the ship and they should be overriding everything that's happening. Right. I think that could be said about anybody.
Yeah, but the first officer also has an authority to relieve, in a certain situation. So,
in the Star Trek world, only the medical officer can excuse the captain, right? So, I guess the only person that can stop them.
Do you want? I guess, I think I know my answer to this is are all the checks and balances? Are more checks and balances good thing, or having more of a strict hierarchical sort of chain of command? Is that better?
Well, remember the episode too. I mean, with Picard took over through that entity that came from that space cloud. Remember, I can't remember the name of the episode. And they were talking about taking over.
Yes, yeah. Oh, you're talking about where they held hostages and all that.
No. I'm talking about we just reviewed it a few weeks ago, and
the one. Yeah, okay, sure. I think I know the one you mean.
Yeah, because that was the only time. And then he said you're going to be effectively doing mutiny.
Lonely Among Us.
Lonely Among Us. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's good to have order, but I think there's always going to have rules where that order has to be portrayed in some scenarios.
Yeah.
So
I do too.
yeah. So, but anyway, yeah, she literally got her ass kicked in that simulation. So they all sit her down, and they kind of go through, and she's like, I don't have any memory of going into this thing and thinking that it was a simulation and all this stuff. Like, she thought it was all real, because it turns out her memory was wiped, and she used this rule to allow her to go past everybody else and force them to let her do it. Which kind of doesn't make any sense in my opinion, but just kill the power to the holodeck and call it a
She
day.
thanks
Like,
Isaac here, and then Isaac's like, you ordered me to do it. I had no choice.
yeah. Yeah. Well, that's just Isaac, but they all go through their fears as well, where we find out, obviously Lamar doesn't like, it's Lamar that doesn't like clowns. Who else we have? We have the spiders was Gordon.
Ed was the spider.
Oh no, Ed's the spiders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't think they all had the same one that they ended up getting attacked by. But
Right.
But anyway, the alligator one, I don't know who's.
They didn't mention who's was the alligator, but I think that
But we know it's not Bortus.
Gordon was the surgery. I think
Gordon was the surgery. Yeah.
And then Bortus was Isaac.
Yeah, Bortus
That
was worried about Isaac. Yeah.
Being overcome by a more powerful foe.
Yeah.
right, because the Mocklins are pretty powerful, but the
Yeah. But I love when he's like, I am feeling uncomfortable. May I leave?
Yeah, this is right here. Yeah. I'm feeling uncomfortable. I want to leave now. And he's like, can I leave now? And he's like, yeah, okay, go ahead. And he just leaves. He's gone. But I love Bortus's character. But anyway, so all is well, and we see her tucking herself into bed, and that is
It's a weird ending. Her going to bed, and I
think it's to show that she's content and she's got past her demons.
That's nice,
right? Yeah, I guess. Dave's like, that's great. Didn't help me at all, but that's great. But anyway, so that's the episode, guys.
Yeah. Okay, I feel like my feelings on this episode are validated just by my retelling of myself.
All right.
And why.
Well, you know what? Hold on to your feelings, because we have other things to deal with right now, Dave. Because you know what time it is.
It's fun facts with Adam time.
Fun facts with Adam!
Okay, we'll go to it. All right. So Isaac states, as we heard here, Lieutenant Catan has exercised Directive 38, which causes Mercer to ask, no bare feet in the engineering section, before being corrected. This comedic device, where a character quotes a directive believing it to be one thing, but only to be told something else, is used very often in the British space sci-fi show Red Dwarf in '88. Did you guys watch
Red
yeah.
Dwarf's
Big
amazing.
I love Red Dwarf.
One day we should do Red Dwarf.
Oh God, that's going to be a hard one.
When Ed rushes into the weapons locker outside the briefing room after seeing the spiders, then runs back towards the briefing room with a pistol in hand, the music cue is highly reminiscent of the action music from the original Star Trek, where Captain Kirk would similarly behave as the man of action. Now I want to go back and listen to it.
Kirk was a man of action.
He sure was.
Especially
with a tear in the shirt every time.
He often, very often. More than not.
More than not, honestly.
More than not, for sure. Absolutely. The over-under on that is pretty solid.
Yeah. The original title of this episode was actually Nightmares. I think it would have been better.
Nightmares.
Yeah, like Firestorm. I think how many times have we made fun of this title tonight? Like, just because
you and Jody have.
Yeah.
Kevin and I have.
Oh, I think that says a lot, right?
It's a dumb title for this episode.
This episode only had 3.3 million viewers and was the least watched episode in season 1.
Really?
Yeah. Well, maybe I missed it. I don't know.
Yeah. Halston Sage, Alara, has a legitimate fear of heights, so she found the scene where she and Adrian Pilecki dangling above the abyss to be very daunting, even though they were all wrapped in with probably harnesses and whatnot.
Yeah.
As per urban legend about the original Star Trek, the crew member who was killed off shortly after the introduction does indeed wear a red shirt.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
This
a
is
green
the
shirt
first-
also dies.
What's that?
A green shirt also dies in this episode. But
Yeah,
he's a
that's
Hulk.
later. And he's in the simulation.
True.
This is the first on-screen destruction of the Orville. So that means there's going to be more.
Oh, but wait. The guy who died in the beginning was an orange.
No, he wasn't. He was in red.
He was in engineering.
Yeah, but the whole engineer was red, so it's hard to judge what color it was.
That's true. Yeah, because it's
This is
supposed
a
to be orange. He's
This
right.
is a stretch.
So when I was watching this morning, I said to my wife, just this fact here. The situation with Alara and the crew face are reminiscent of the movie Event Horizon. I found that when Claire was going nuts.
Yeah.
Very much like that.
And if you've never seen Event Horizon, definitely watch it and then be prepared to be spooked, because it is one of the only movies that has actually spooked me. And
I won't watch it again.
You know what? It's been a long time, and you know what? I'm not itching to watch it.
It's one of my favorite movies. I fucking
it's
love
a great movie. Don't get me wrong, but boy, like I'm not susceptible to horror at all. Like horror doesn't bother me at all. But man, that movie screwed me up.
Me either. That movie scares me every time. I've seen it like 50 times. Every time.
I've seen it like 3 times, I think. And all 3 times I've regretted watching it, but yet it's an amazing movie.
Yeah, I want to press play again. I've only seen it once in the theater, and I'm not doing it again. I just can't.
Oh, I never even got to see it in the theater. I bet I would have been even worse then. But...
Yeah. According to the book, The World of the Orville, there are in fact 2 clowns terrorizing the ship.
2 clowns terrorizing the ship.
Yeah,
Really?
Lamar and Gordon.
There you go.
So McFarlane and Pilecki are deathly afraid of spiders, and Scott Grimes loves them. When the filming of the scene with the spiders crawl invade the briefing room, a live spider was brought in, and McFarlane and Pilecki were terrified while Grimes cackled.
They made him get the spider on the face, which he was probably the best suited for.
Alara's fear of fire seems to only pertain to engulfing fires, as she can easily put out a fire on her control panel in earlier episode, The Krill.
Oh yeah, that's a very good point. I totally didn't even put that together.
And just
she even makes the joke about it, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. That's not good continuity. That should be a deduction for all of us on our scoring.
Yeah,
it'll be for you, I'm sure.
Adam, what else can you tell us about this episode?
Filming was completed in July 2017 under the direction of Brown and Braga. The filming took 8 days, while the composer John Debney's score took 3 weeks to complete. The episode this is only one of the few episodes that McFarlane neither wrote nor directed. So I'll leave you one more with the prosthetics and dentures were designed by Howard Berger for the clown to give a monstrous smile that a human face could not otherwise make. The actual look of the clown was designed by wardrobe designer Joseph Porro, who sought to transform a common birthday clown into something terrifying. I think he did a pretty good job.
I think you did all right.
Yeah. Well, and I'll leave it there.
It's no Event Horizon, but
Brown Braga. He did it. You know, he's a genius in Star Trek history.
It's true. But guys, the big time is now, and that's ratings. What are we gonna say? I guess I'll leave myself to the end. Adam.
Yeah, I'll go first. I'm gonna heed Norman tonight, and I'll go with an 8 on this. I did really like it though.
Norman gave it an 8.
No, he told me we got an episode in season 3 coming. I can't remember which one it is, but it's going to be better. So I'm going to wait.
All right.
Dave, is that an accurate score for you?
No, I know. It's a
You're
placeholder.
Just being an ass? Okay.
It was just so that there wouldn't be an error on the formula when with no scores in there yet.
I thought you were just trying to show your disdain.
But I am with Norman. I'm going with a 5.
A 5. All right. Kevin.
I'll go with an 8. It's good. It would have been better if it had been something other than a simulator, but it's good.
Wait a second. I never actually finished this thought. Dave, I really did. I'm not unhappy with the ending. It was satisfying.
She went to bed.
So she's tired. It was a long day.
Well, she got her ass.
You got me there.
Don't we all go to bed?
We all do. You know, I think when I go to bed, it should be on TV. Really.
Oh my
I like
God.
to judge episodes based on if I'm enthralled in them. Like if
Sam's giving it an 8. Are you with Sam or are you with Norman and me?
Well, I'm not with you, Dave, because I want an episode to keep me going, and I was glued to this one. Like there was no like real downtime where I was like, it sucks. So you know what? I'm gonna go just to be different. I'm gonna go 8./ No, I'm gonna do 8.1. There we go.
You're going higher. You're
Going
this is the
higher
Price
than
is
these
Right?
guys. Yes.
You know?
Yes. So anyway, that brings us to an average because of Dave, to a 7.3. It's all Dave's fault. The world believes that it's an 8 as well. So clearly everybody but Dave is right. And that makes us a combined average of 7.6. And of course, Dave, you're going to ask me what the next episode is.
What's the next episode, Jody?
Oh, there it is. Anyway, it is called New Dimensions. The Orville gets damaged by a spatial anomaly, causing harrowing effects on all living things.
I love spatial anomaly episodes.
Oh, you know what? They're always the best ones. They really are. So, Price is Right, player. Dave is on drugs. I will not comment.
He might be.
He might be, though.
Though.
But Dave, just because we have fun here, and obviously eventually we're going to do a Event Horizon rewatch, because
all right,
all of us need to be scared out of our minds.
Are there any Star Trek actors in that?
Let's find it.
None that come to mind, but
I'll check it.
I
You guys.
don't think so.
I don't think
I could
so
throw
either,
into a
but-
certain playlist if there was.
Oh, I see. So.
But
Well-
yeah, we have other shows here, Jody. Thank you for the segue before I cut you off there. Yes, we have Star Trek The Next Generation reviews every Tuesday here on the channel. We're going through all those episodes. Tomorrow night, we're doing The Big Goodbye.
The Big Goodbye.
The Big Goodbye. We're doing that with
Card episode.
Watch your caboose. It's we got Davin, we got Heather, and Adam. Is that right? Is that what you're on tomorrow as well? I believe. Yeah, we're talking about one of the very first holodeck episodes proper, and unpacking all that. Of course, the Dixon Hill and the introduction of that stuff.
That's the first Dixon Hill episode.
Yeah, the very first Dixon Hill episode. So we'll talk about that tomorrow night. Watch every Tuesday, Star Trek The Next Generation reviews. We also have done lots of other reviews, like we did Discovery earlier this year and did the finale, season 5 and all that. We had the Prodigy reviews, as we mentioned earlier. And we later on, we'll be, we're doing Lower Decks and Strange New Worlds. It's coming back. Yeah, see, I'm sober.
He said drugs, not intoxicated. Those are two different things for Dave. True. If he was intoxicated, he'd be singing something right now.
Don't.
You're quite a singer when you're. But anyway.
Well, those are all my. I'm singing all my plugs here.
You are.
For the different stuff here. There was just a trivia the other night with Ashley Millard hosting, the Quiz Admiral herself, Davin, Pugsley, and Heather competing in the trivia. So some exciting stuff.
I have yet to watch it, so I don't spoil it for me.
Ashley, whenever I've had trivia delivered by Ashley, it's very hard. And the other night, man, I was against her in everything.
You were like, "Why am I not on this episode of trivia?"
Yes.
You were always on the Darbock episodes. It was not your favorite category.
Yeah, the movie episodes are going to be a little easier because you've only got so much source material, right?
Yeah, I've watched them 1,000 times each.
As long as you've seen the movies, you really know everything about them, so it's not too hard. Yeah. Apparently, we have a question for Jody, Adam, and Kevin. Not Dave though. Screw Dave. Are you guys team
Mackenzie or Leah?
What does this mean, Dave?
He's asking you a Big Brother 26 question, which only I would be qualified to answer.
That doesn't matter. So
I didn't know that.
If you put up a picture, we can decide.
That's Mackenzie and Leah are in an alliance. They're on the same team. Sam.
I don't think we have a picture. Do we have a picture, Dave?
Of who?
These people that we're referring to.
Oh, they're his favorite girls. Yeah, sure. I can get you a quick picture of Mackenzie and Leah.
Okay.
Hold on.
Anyway, as Dave's talking, Kevin, where can people find you and what are you up to?
I'm not up to anything. Please don't find me.
Okay. Adam, same thing.
I don't know what that means, but I'll be here tomorrow.
Dave, where can people find you?
They can find me here on the United Federation of Podcasts, many different podcasts here on the network, of course, including Live Long and Podcast. You'll see our little commercial at the end here with all the plugs. But yeah, we got lots of great content happening. Check us out on the website, our different Facebook pages, YouTube, all that stuff.
You know where else you find us, Dave? Wait, before you go, you're going to find us in the baseball diamond on the weekend.
Oh yeah, I'll be at the baseball Brand Hills Park on Saturday. If you want to come by, I'll be signing autographs all morning. I'm gonna
come and I'm gonna come and get an autograph from you, Dave.
Okay, yeah, bring your own ball. Anyway,
you hear that, Sam? Autographs available.
Autographs available if you're
We'll have a table set up.
Yeah, there'll be a table. You have to get in line.
Don't worry, the line won't be long.
Photos will be extra. I'm sorry.
Photos extra.
Yeah, but the autographs are free. And Mackenzie here. This is what he's referring to.
Okay, and who's the other one?
Then we also have Chelsea. Hold on.
So
Leah was the other one, right?
I have to pick between these two people for what?
I guess who's your preferred lady?
Okay, so this person is a cocktail server. What's the other one?
She's a construction person.
She looks like
project manager.
Construction project manager.
Well, I gotta go construction.
I'm gonna go construction as well. So I'll go Mackenzie, even though she spells her name absolutely terrible.
All right, there you go, Sam. We had the poll here.
Oh, we have a poll.
Yeah. These are his girls of the season.
Oh, okay.
Who's better for you, Sam?
Who's better for him? Yeah.
I think the second one.
Who's better for you? The second one.
She will only go for 6'5", somebody who's 6'5" and taller.
You're out of luck there, Sam.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, you know what though, guys? It's that time. It's that time where we have to say goodbye. And
we'll be back. We'll be back for
think
another
about watching Event Horizon and then not watching it. So, we'll see. Anyway, for everybody, live long in podcast.
See you, everyone.
Beam up some Star Trek content with Live Long in Podcast. Tune in to X-Rated, the X-Men animated review show. Artistic interviews with graphic histories. A roundtable movie discussion with Hey, did you see this one? And movie reviews with Hold Up, a movie podcast. And while you're at it, spin a few records with Eamon on Track. Watch us duke it out on trivial debates. And let's chat about TV with the Super Mater Brothers. It's all here on the United Federation of Podcasts.